Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome on Live Game Drive. At the moment, I'm sitting on Arathusa Private Game Reserve. On camera with me today is Andy. For those of you who are new, we are live, literally. So everything I see, those warthogs we just saw moving past us, you were seeing at the exact same time as me, and I'm sitting on Arathusa Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands of South Africa. Just want to welcome everyone. It's hopefully going to be an exciting game drive. I've heard some reports that there were mating lions on the southern section of Arathusa, so we're definitely going to have a look for those. But it's nice to start. We've got a nice myriad of general game around us. We've got some impala and some warthog and some zebra. So I'm going to move the vehicle shortly and we're going to go have a look. And for those of you who are new, we are interactive as well as being live, so you can contact me directly while I'm on Game Drive and send me questions, and you can do that by sending an email to questions@WildEarthTV, or if you're on Twitter, just use the hashtag live. Let's go have a closer look at the event. And two mothers here, so she's done very well. And you can see the zebra behind them. Look, done very, very well, these mothers, to have raised this many babies in such a high leopard, an area with such high leopard density and lion density. Little warthogs are favorites of a lot of the predators. Must be very vigilant mothers, these two. And it's quite warm, probably 26 or 27 degrees Celsius, and very windy this afternoon. There's quite a lot of cloud around. During the middle of the day, we thought it might actually rain this afternoon. This big storm sort of blew in and it got really dark, but fortunately it blew off, so we were able to go out exploring. Go ahead, station. The warthogs will get down onto their knees. If you have a look at the adult female there, just go back a little bit there, Andrea. Thank you. You can see that a very unique warthog-like thing. They fall down on their knees to feed. It enables them to get a bit close to the ground, because not only do they eat the grass, they also eat quite a few little bulbs and tubers and roots of different grass species. I definitely think this is the largest group of warthogs I've seen since I've been here. Seven piglets and 2 adults. So for those of you wondering where exactly we are, we're on the southern end of Arathusa airstrip. Nice short grass around the airstrip, does attract quite a lot of general game. Often see nice herds of wildebeest here as well. They don't seem to be here today, but there's a nice herd of zebra. And we'll go have a look at the zebra a bit closer. Oh my goodness. Could it be, possibly? Can you focus in on the zebra on the far right-hand side, please? A couple of days ago that had a very big gash caused by lions. It looks to be on the left-hand side and in the exact same place. I actually think that is the same zebra. So I'm just going to let Andrew zoom in on her there. So it's the same zebra we saw a few game drives ago, who obviously has escaped a lion attack. Can we get any closer? Sorry, I just want to see if there's any infection or whatnot sitting in. Oh, we're full. I'll try to get a bit closer now. You just take a shot with my camera. Oh, of course you're going to walk behind the other zebras. Very upset birds. And the zebra closest to us that Andrew's focused on now is the stallion. That looks actually like it could be a bite from another zebra. But we'll come back to zebras now. There's just lapwings making an incredible amount of noise here at the moment. I think they actually have a nest close by and they're just complaining. At the warthogs that might be feeding a bit close to the nest. And warthogs are omnivores, so sometimes I think they might, if they found that lapwing's nest, they might eat the eggs. That's very... There's a very pretty moth species called a bonnet, which is a daytime moth. It's either bonnet or forester. I didn't get a good enough look before it flew off, and they're really brightly colored, but they're a daytime moth species. Well, let's go back and look at those zebras. Just wanted to make sure that the plovers weren't alarming at something we couldn't see. Just going to go wide of them. She just doesn't want to show us her. The left hand. There we go. She just keeps stopping in the wrong spot. I'm going to see if I can get a photograph of it. Oh. I said she's showing a little bit more stiffness because the wound's a bit older now, but she still doesn't look like she's in too much pain. So I'm going to try to get a snap a bit closer, and then we can see if there's any infection setting in, or if there's any things like parasites or maggots or anything, because that can happen quite often. Flies would actually lay their eggs inside a wound like that, giving the maggots nice fresh meat to feed off. Still a bit far away. Actually, that's very interesting. Let's get a bit closer. It looks like she's actually survived a lion attack when she was younger on that same side. While we got the opportunity. With things like that and warthogs with wounds, it's not actually that common that you get to see them too often again. So I mean, she's quite far from where we were last time. From where we were last time. She's just not letting me get a good shot. But as you can see, she looks like she's been walking quite well. She doesn't seem in too much pain. She's not trying to rub it against anything. You'll hear me talking on the radio from time to time. That's to the other guides and trackers out there, keeping in touch. We'll have a look on his rump as well. Not quite nearly as bad, but we can see there looks like very much another escapee from lions, but that looks like the lion didn't really ever get hold properly. Just a little scratch. Could be from something else, but good afternoon, Deborah from California. Deborah, well, just asking if I can elaborate on the social structures of zebras. She says she's under the impression that bachelors live alone. Is this true? Well, generally, the main social structure of a zebra is that they live in sort of harems with a single stallion who will try to control as many females as possible. They are non-territorial. rather than where you get huge congregations of zebras, like in the Serengeti, or even closer to home here in the Kruger. You can get big groups of up to 200 or 300 during the dry season on the basalt plains. There's still this. There, the social structure changes quite a bit, and the young males will be on the periphery, but there will be a lot of fightings in those big groups, but they will stay with the large herds. And in this area where you don't get those large herds, and that's not to say it's just not the right type of bush and environment for them. It's more bush veld rather than grass veld. I'm just going to try sneaking around to where they're going. And so I have seen single zebra stallions or young zebra stallions by themselves in this area, but as I said, it all depends on the area. Sometimes the dominant stallion will sort of accept, or tolerate is a better word than accept, another young stallion, as long as he doesn't try mate, but that doesn't normally last too long. But it all depends on the area to the animal behavior. Okay, I think I finally got a close enough shot to see. So it wasn't, I don't know if you can see it on the screen here. So I thought she might have survived another lion attack at some point, but it wasn't. It's from the same one. It wasn't the gash. The deep gash didn't start as high. You can see there how the stripes don't line up anymore because of where the lion's claw has cut through her skin. But so far, from what I can see, there doesn't seem to be too much infection, just a bit of swelling. But you never know, infection can set in very easily. But she is walking quite well, and it has been a couple of days since we initially saw her. So it's looking good, and it is amazing how resilient animals can be, and how quickly they can recover from wounds that to us superficially look incredibly bad. Good afternoon, Genevieve from New York. Genevieve would like to know if there's any plants would actually of them doing that. But even with those plants, Andrew's found a crowned lapwing, and there's a couple of them in the grass next to us. It's a bird that favors these short grass plains. Sorry, Genevieve, back to your question. Not that I'm aware of, Genevieve, that they would ever do that. I've never heard of zebras self-medicating. Very peaceful here at the southern end of the airstrip. Andrew, if you pound from those zebras, there's the warthog family still around, just off in front of us here. And then to the left of them, There's a bachelor group of impala. And the rest of the zebras. Okay, well, that's what a wonderful start. It's nice to see a lot of these animals. I know quite often we don't get a good chance to get really good views of warthog, especially when the bush is a bit thicker. They tend to feel a bit more threatened, so they often scuttle off before we can get a good view. But I think it's time to go try find some kitty cats. So we're going to go look. There was a report of mating lions I'm reading a book on man-eating lions. It's another story that's in my brain at the moment. Mating lions on the southern boundary of Arethusa. So hopefully they're still in that area and they haven't moved further south into an area we can't traverse. So guys, just a quick update on the weather so you can sort of imagine what I'm feeling. It's about 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 26 degrees Celsius, and there's 55% humidity. The weather forecast for the next couple of days is changing constantly, because it was supposed to rain most of today, and as you can see, no rain yet. So it rains. It's one thing being cold, but cold and wet is even less than pleasant. Less pleasant than being cold. So, as I'm sure a lot of the old viewers will know, I'm not that familiar with all the roads in Arethusa. I know where I'm going, I just don't know their names. I'm just going to have a quick squiz at my map here quickly. Hello. See if you can focus in on one of these here, Andrew, please. So, one of the most important things about being out in the bush is being able to read the signs that are left, so like the afternoon news. So I didn't know exactly where they left those lines, but now, as I've driven down this road, and it's quite a strong likelihood that people would have driven on this road on morning game drive, and these tracks look very fresh. I'm just going to try to figure out how many of them there were. Can you see the line tracks? Like very faint. This one, maybe. Is that clear? Or should we try a closer one? Or maybe I should try to find some that are a bit easier to see. But there are male line tracks going this way.
You can see the one you circled. Not very well, but you can see it.
So there's a male line track. It's been very windy today. So that's why it might look a little bit older than, say, if it hadn't been windy, I would say, ooh, maybe this track was from last night. But also, just knowing what's happening in the area, I'm pretty sure this road would have been used on game drive this morning. And the guys who gave me the report from Arethusa said that it was on here. So here is a lion track. So far I can only see one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the other side of the vehicle where I haven't driven yet to see if this is possibly that mating pair of lions, or it could just be a single lion who's not having any luck with the ladies and he's moving away. Just a single male lion up on these tracks. I'm going to keep it, and hopefully that the mating lions are stuck. If they have crossed further south, then I know where I should come start looking for another male lion. He's probably moved during the day. He was probably there this morning, so there's a strong possibility he's flopped down under a bit of shade around here somewhere. So we'll definitely come back and have a look at these tracks again just now, if we have no luck at the other side. Maybe, I don't know if Andrew can show them there. They're a bit more clear in the sand there next to us. A little bit more.
You're okay, yeah?
There we go. You can see they're a little bit clearer in the sand there. That's male lion tracks. And your eyes, everyone must remember, you must remember they're like a muscle, like any other muscle. The more you train them, the better they get. Guys, sorry about that. Where as well as there's a lot of storms, a lot of wind. Ryan, man. Copy, thanks. I think I'm on standby one. I think I'm on 15th crossing. So guys, it sounds like Ryan, one of the guys from Arethusa, has found lions. So we head down towards that area if we could join him. low-lying areas we're crossing. We're having a bit of havoc with our signal, but now it should stabilize out nicely. The guys have found the lines. We're slowly making our way towards it. There's a couple of game drive vehicles there already, so hopefully we'll be able to go see which lines these are shortly. As I said, I wasn't sure exactly which lines were mating, but I'm guessing just checking exactly next road so I know which road to go on. It's really exciting matching lines. Normally everything's good in this area. So guys, we are, as I said, it'll be very interesting to see which mating lines. It's always very exciting to see mating lines, lots of noise. So I'm very keen to see which lines out. Go ahead. Copied, sorry. Confirm is it far enough away that I can bypass and come back? Copy, thanks very much, but at least I know where to go now. Copy, thanks very much. Judy was saying Arathusa Safari Lodge has been reporting that the one nest has given birth. Judy says she remembers me saying that sometimes, or that the lions would introduce the cubs to the pride at about a month old. I said, Judy, that's a sort of a very abnormal circumstances that they would do that. Normally it is a bit older, between 2 and 3 months. Oh, 2 months to be safe. Negative, I'm first standby. I was just temporarily unaware of my position. So to answer your question there, Judy, sometimes as early as a month. I have seen that before, but it is less usual. It's normally closer to 2 months, and it all depends on the dynamics of the line and how many other lines in the area and the pressures are on the lines. Good afternoon, Brett from Michigan. Brett would like to know, what indicators do we use to see how fresh tracks are? What I'm going to do, Brett, is I'm actually going to hold off on your question for a tiny bit until I can find some nice tracks that are nice and clear, that I can show you exactly what I'm looking for. So the ground here is a little bit hard and muddy. Brett, I will get back to your question. I just need to find a nice spot. It's going to be much easier for me to show you while I explain, then sort of talk and drive, and then you'll be able to understand more of what indicators we use to gauge the freshness of tracks. So hopefully, because I'm feeling lucky today, that we'll get to see some mating lines, and also I'm really excited to actually finally see Tingana. There we go. It's called a roadside pimpernel. It's actually got quite thorny leaves at the base. And for those of you who are real flower buffs, it's from the Triclysera family, a roadside pimpernel. There's a game driver vehicle on its way, so I'll just let them pass quickly. So I'm very excited to see which pride is the lioness that's mating with comes from. It's quite an interesting area for lion dynamics, because you never quite know what's going on. I'm just gonna, if you guys hear me, I might have a few words with Sean. Otherwise, I'll be back on that lion pride dynamics. Afternoon. How you doing, Ray? Oh, I found my deep into Shelley's in fact I was really
Did you see Big Dan?
That's why I turned around.
Awesome!
Hey guys. Sorry. Sean was involved in quite a serious touch rugby game that we played this afternoon from 12 to 1. All of us got a good run around, a bit of exercise, including Andrew. We had a good run around there. But so what I'm saying, why I'm saying it's quite interesting, especially here on Arathusa, to a degree more so than where we are in the north, is because you have the two sticks prides. You have the Tsalala or breakaways, also known as the Mangenis, but also this is part of the Matimbas come here, but also you get the Majingalans coming in. So there is quite a lot of activity in this area. So traditionally, as far as I understand, and all those sub-adults that were that we saw with the big pride, the Tsalala breakaway pride, were all fathered by the Majingalans. So they don't seem to move apparently where we saw them very far, but it'd be very interesting to see if it is one of the breakaway females mating with a Matimba, and whether the Matimba or the female just there or the pride is around. Normally they would separate, but sometimes the pride is around, and whether the Matimbas, theoretically the Matimbas would try to kill those young males. The females are almost old enough that they might just sort of let them go through. Sorry, there's a lot of chat in my ear at the moment. Okay, there. Good afternoon, Chris from South Africa. Chris says he once asked a game ranger that would a lion wander into a campsite or a camp during the day if you left the gates open, and the game ranger told Chris that it would never happen. Oh, Chris, I disagree to a point. It depends on your definition of during the day. It's very unlikely, let me put it that way. During the day, it depends if there's a lot of activity. If there's a lot of human activity, it is highly unlikely that they would, but it is always possible. But at night time, they would happily walk into a camping area, and I have seen them during the day, on the early morning or late afternoon, walk into that area. Sorry, I just heard another sighting called in. I need to check the map. Good afternoon, John Freed. Welcome on Drive with us this afternoon. John Freed would like to know if it's been an abnormally dry year this year in the Swabi Sands. He says for him the bush looks quite brown and dry. Well, John, it was starting to look that way. We had a very very, very dry, very long dry spell, and the rain seemed to end very early. But then on Friday last week, Friday night, we had a big storm, and that sort of greened up the bush. So the bush is actually quite a bit greener than it was, and there is forecasted rain for the next. So I know Tingana, who's the dominant male leopard in this area, has been seen quite a few times in this area. So I'm just looking quite carefully for tracks and hopefully get to find them, and I hopefully get to see Tingana one of these days. So guys, if I go quiet for a while now, there is a lot of radio chatter in my ear. There are a lot of game drive vehicles out this afternoon. So I'm just trying to find out, because I'm just waiting for the guys to call us in so we can go look at those lines. It's getting a bit nippy, the temperature's dropping, so I put my jersey on. Busy radio today. Sorry guys, I'll be back with you in a second. While I'm listening, and see who can tell me what possibly two insects would have done this to that. And well, it's a bit of a difficult one because the tree's so dry. But so who can tell me what made this, and we'll have a closer look at it. Go ahead. That's FM. confirm second standby. Affirm, yeah, I'm on Central Road at the moment. Just make sure I'm on Central Road. Quickly. Standing by. Copy, thanks very much. Confirm best access as to head towards Central West junction with 15. Copy, thanks very much. Hey guys, that's the good news I've been waiting for while I've been listening. Don't worry, I haven't forgot about this, but I think we'll deal with this after we've seen some mating lions. So bear with me, I'm going to go a little bit quicker for a few minutes. So the temperature is dropping quite quickly. So we're going to find out very shortly which lions these are. It'll be very interesting if it is, for example, one of the Tsalala breakaways, because that is traditionally a Majinga lion pride, but there's been some very interesting research done on lion genetics, and in Etosha National Park in Namibia, it was found out that 48% of all the cubs born were not born to the pride males. They were born to sneaky guys, creeping on the edges. Okay guys, looks like we've just arrived at the lions. So just give me a few seconds just to find out where it's going to be the best position for us to put the vehicle. Afternoon. We're just going to position ourselves. It definitely looks like one of the Matimba males. I'm just going to ask one of the guides which lioness it is. Sean coming? confirm this is one of the breakaway mafazis. So guys, there's just confirmation from Sean from Arathusa. Sean says this is one of the breakaway lionesses. So this is very interesting. So very similar to leopards, lions also mate every 15 minutes or so. So they mate every 15 minutes or so, very similar to leopards. So I'm not sure when the last time they mated was, but there's a very strong chance that they're going to mate again very soon. Quite hungry. So guys, remember you can ask us questions while we're live out here on Game Drive, and you can do that by emailing questions at WildEarthTV, or just use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Good afternoon, Donna from Missouri. So Donna's asking that if this Salala breakaway female, because she's mating with the Matimba male, and she has cubs from that union, and she's now and goes back towards where more traditionally her pride hangs out, which is in the Majingaland territory. Would the Majingaland males be able to smell that those cubs are from another male, and would they kill them? I don't think they'd be able to smell, Donna. Possibly, if they don't remember mating with her or cannot remember mating with her, they might kill those cubs. Or in certain circumstances, she might even break away again from the breakaway. and raise the cubs off separately. Unusual though. And leopards is.
So you said every 5 minutes?
Every 15, every 20 minutes. Okay, and it depends on how many days they've been mating for. So if it's really early, it's generally quite quick. If it's the first or second day, which I believe this is the first day. But as it gets sort of fourth, fifth day, it can even go between half an hour, 45 minutes between them mating. But as an average, you can work on about 15 minutes. Good afternoon, RC from the Netherlands. RC would like to know what that flower plant is in front of the lioness. RC, it looks like a dry and dead wild foxglove. It looks like a dry wild foxglove, and what we're seeing there are the remnants of what would have held the seeds. I'm pretty sure that was a foxglove, but it is now died. It's only out during the summer months in the rainy season when it is quite wet. So as we move towards the dry area, it has expired. Wild foxglove. And I used to know that name for it, but I can't remember anymore.
I think I just saw that cut. Remember that scar on the inside of one of the timber males?
Yep, that's it.
So he's the dominant one, would you say?
All the other ones not around when he found the lioness and estrus. Good afternoon, Kathy from Tennessee. Kathy has asked me to explain the blonde versus dark maned male lions. Again, I have explained it before, and what the lioness looks for when she's mating. So Kathy, this is quite recent and quite groundbreaking research that's being done, and I was very fortunate to be involved in filming of some of it. And so basically what they did was, as they put a sort of dark and they interloper actually started sort of showing flirting signs, sort of running up to him, like, "Oh, you're a good-looking big boy." And then the same experiment was done with a dark maned male and a lioness, and the reaction was completely different. That dark maned male saw another dark maned male in his territory, and he charged in and literally ripped the stuff lion to pieces. And the lioness he was with joined in and went for a traditional sort of throat grab on the lion. It was absolutely incredible. And so they're trying to prove now, obviously I said it's quite recent research, that the females prefer males with darker manes because they've got higher testosterone levels and they're more aggressive, which possibly means the cubs they have with them will have a better chance of survival. Afternoon, Colin. I did mention a bit earlier, but no worries. We'll just keep updating. Colin would like to know how many days do lions mate for. On average, it's about 4 or 5 days is the general sort of amount of time that they'll mate for. Good afternoon, Gail. Gail would like to know whether I've ever come across any sterile lions. Well, Gail, it's quite difficult to see, especially when lions are mating, especially when they're coalitions. The female often will mate with 3 or 4 of the individuals over a couple of days or a week or 2 period. So it's very difficult with a wild animal to see whether it's sterile. So I'm afraid I can't answer that. No worries. Cheers, guys. So, guys, just to keep you updated on what the plan was. So, while I was playing touch rugby this afternoon with Sean, who was one of the guys playing with us, he told me that very late this morning, sort of about probably 9:30, quarter to 10, they found these mating lions right on their southern boundary. So I said, well, that's changed my plans for this evening. I'm definitely going to come across and try help you guys find them again. And I was actually following their tracks, except the other guys were coming from the other direction and they found them before me. So we were quite lucky that they found them quite early on, and instead of them heading south away from the area we're allowed to drive, we're very thankful that they came north. So that was our plan for the afternoon, and it's always great when a plan comes together. And so now we're here sitting with the mating pair of lions, and we're just waiting for them to actually mate though. So we're just going to stand by here patiently. And remember, guys, this is a completely interactive live show. You are able to email and ask questions, and there are 2 different ways to do that. And you can either email us on questions@wildearth.tv, or you can just use the hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. And guys, also, if you'd like to, just let us know where you're from in the world. It's always fascinating for us out here to be able to sort of know all the different places in the world that actually might be on Game Drive with us. Good afternoon, Debbie, on Twitter. She'd like me to just explain what I meant when I said the breakaway lioness. So she's part of the Tsalala Pride originally, which generally their territory is quite a bit further south than this, and then the 4 adult lionesses from the Tsalala. They're called either the Tsalala Breakaway Pride or the Mangen Pride. In the southern and central parts of the Sabi Sands, we used to call her the tailless female, and I think other people used to call her Bibi, which I presume means, or Bibi, which is a Swahili word for grandmother. But anyway, we used to call her the tailless, and she'd lost her tail to hyenas. And she led those 4 adults when they were, I think, sub-adults, away from that area where there was new male lions moving in, and moved them north. And that's how they got the name, the Tsalala Breakaway Pride, because they broke away from the original Tsalala Pride. The other name, Mangen Pride, I'm not quite sure whether it's because there's a road down south, the place I used to work, a drainage line called the Mangen Drainage. And it's possible they might have spent quite a lot of time in and around the Mangen drainage when they broke away from the original pride. Oh, I thought we were going to get some action there for a second. Well, good evening, Julia, on Twitter. Julia would like to know whether lions mate so much because of induced ovulation. Basically, with most of your big cats, their penises are actually barbed, and this has a dual effect. That they do induce ovulation. And they do have, actually quite often they do not get impregnated from mating, so they actually mate multiple times to eventually get pregnant. But the ovulation does come around very quickly. But with the male lion's barbed penis, it has a double function. Obviously, it helps to try to keep his semen inside and his penis inside while he is mating with her. And the second thing is, especially in the beginning, if there has been any other male lion mating before him, that barb can hook out the other male semen that's inside. There's a bit more that I could say about the mating process and that, but I'd rather wait till we can actually see it and then be able to explain it better. And I think it'd be far better if we wait for them to mate before we start going too in depth. Good evening, Carol. Thank you for your email. Carol asked, do they eat during this 4 or 5 days, and will they hunt together? Carol, generally they don't. As I said a bit earlier in the drive, they generally don't eat for the time that they're mating. But as with all predators, they are opportunists. If something happens upon them, they're definitely not going to say no. So I know, guys, it might look like the lions are just sleeping at the moment, but as I've said many times before, one of the most important things in seeing those really great sightings, the most important weapon in your arsenal is patience. Oh. But lions are generally very lazy animals, and they will sleep for an average of about 20 hours a day. The strong wind has died down slightly. So it is a little bit warmer just from the wind, but I was getting really cold earlier. So, as I said this morning, you can never ever be 100% sure on your predictions on how long things are going to take out in the bush, because we read all the books and we write all the books. The animals don't have to listen to them and can pretty much do whatever they would like. Good afternoon, Sandy from Missouri. Sandy would like to know, do lions get preyed on by other animals such as hyenas? And while they're mating, is it a particularly vulnerable time for them? Well, Sandy, not really. Hyenas, leopards, cheetah, wild dog, if they find lion cubs that are away from the adults or sub-adults, they will definitely kill them. Other than that, it's only really when an animal is sick or injured that they become, and probably then even I think a leopard would avoid a sick or injured lioness, wouldn't try attack, but that's when the hyenas would. But generally no, nothing really preys on on lions. So while we're sitting here waiting for these felines to do something, have a look up here. This is a slightly more difficult one than usual. So if you look, it's got quite large leaves. They are turning at the moment. And there's quite a lot of these trees around here. But you can see they've got quite nice big leaves. If you zoom out a little bit, please, there, Andrew, you can see the bark. So who can tell me what tree that is? And you can send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So guys, I know it is a bit slow at the moment, but if we leave and try come back now, the chances of actually getting to see them mating would be much less. As I said, patience is very, very important when it comes to seeing the really good sightings. And they have been mating. They mated just before we got in there, before we arrived. So I know it might be a bit slow, but guys, I really do recommend, if you guys want to see the mating, that we should stay. But it is up to you guys, so why don't you let me know whether you'd like me to go look for something else. You can do that by sending me an email, or sending an email to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So we have an answer to the seed pod while we're waiting for the lions to do something. Raisa says, was it ants that caused this? It's very possible. It's one of two species of insect that do this. I'm going to just open it up now very carefully. We'll try to. So I think this one in particular, try to see if there's any casings. There's mud in there. There we go. So this one in particular actually wasn't ants. So if we have a look inside, I can see a little bit of the chrysalis and stuff left. So this leads me to believe, just from the size of what it is, and the ant species that normally do this are quite small, and there'll be multiple sort of spots in there. I think this was a wasp. The wasp in particular is called a Terminalia gall wasp, and that means, well, it's very specific to Terminalia trees. They will sting the branch, which causes the branch to produce a growth hormone. And what that does And so that causes the branch to sorry, excuse me. Need a sip of water quickly. So it causes the branch to release the tree to release a growth hormone, causing these large sort of strange protrusions into the tree. And what that does is it forms a very safe place for the wasp to lay its eggs inside. And so once then, I think I saw where the larvae came out. There we go. And you can have a look. There's a hole from where the larvae want to come out, and also in the piece I removed there. Another hole there, another hole there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That came out of this particular gall. So a Terminalia gall wasp. Oh, that was close. Where did you fall from? Let's come to the right a little bit, Andrew. I nearly had a very, very itchy hand. It just fell out of the tree. It's a little hairy caterpillar. I'm not sure what it belongs to, but it's probably one of the moth species. But quite pretty. I'm going to try and get a spot where you can have a bit of a closer look at him. I'm just trying to coax him onto that, because obviously I don't want to touch this guy. I would be very, very itchy. Where do you think would be the best to see a bit better, Andrew?
Just try there.
You can see his head a bit further.
You can come closer even. Okay, stop there.
I'll try to show you what his face looks like. How's that look?
That's good.
So there we go. Very, very hairy little caterpillar. It's would be very, very itchy if I happened to touch him. I actually had one of these guys fall down my collar during game drive, and oh, it was one of the itchiest things I've ever experienced in the last while. Quite interesting. You see his head's definitely this side. You see the very dark hairs that are actually coming out. I can actually just see his mouth parts, and if you see the orange coloring also on his back. So he's got, and that's to look like he's got heads on both sides, and that is just another sort of defensive practice for the caterpillar against predators. Sorry guys, the guys are calling me on the radio. I'm gonna find the right radio. Yeah, go ahead. But as far as I know, there was one other station who was going to be making his way here, but he hasn't arrived yet, and I'm the only station here. Hey firm, central on the west and central, just stand by one. Sorry guys, I'm just going to update. One of the other game drive vehicles wants to come into this area. FM, it is on central, quite close to the junction between central, east and west, but on the western side. So I'm going to release the creepy crawly. Rather have him on the tree than anywhere in the car. He might sneak off, and then we get him later. Oh, he's very happy to get onto the branch. It looks a lot more at home there.
I can't see him.
You can't, he's there.
Oh, he does look happy.
Yeah, you can see immediately starts moving, looks a lot more comfortable. I think with the wind blowing, he just fell out of the tree. I'm guessing it's probably the larva of a moth rather than a butterfly. It's not a teak tree, guys. What is in front of that male lion right there, that is a round leaf teak in front of the male lion. The tree directly in front of me is not a round leaf teak. Not a red bush willow, but you guys are on the right track. It's in the bush willow family. I said I was going to make this one a little bit more difficult. So, no one seems to have got it right yet. It is a little bit more difficult than the trees I ask, I know, but come on, guys. So I gave you a clue. It's related to the red bush willow. The leaves are much bigger than a red bush willow. Andrew, if you can pan across to this from the tree in front of us, so you can see the size of the leaves. If I put my hand, that's, even though it's a bit tatty, see the size of the leaf, and some of them are even bigger than that one. And then if we have a look, if we pan off to the right, and we'll see this, how much smaller the leaves on a red bush willow are. Oh, speaking of red bush willow, here's one next to me. They do get leaves bigger than that, but that there we go, that one's a bit better. So there we go, there's the red bush willow leaf, and there's this tree's leaf. So you can see quite a big size difference. The way we can tell that this is a red bush willow, that's how I like to remember it, especially the Latin name when I was younger. It's got this tiny little pick or little sharp point that comes off the edge of the leaves. Which is the best way to show it, Andrew? There.
Yeah.
Okay. There you can see on the underside it's got a very sharp little point, and that is a Latin name is Combretum apiculatum, and I remember it by the little pick that sticks off the leaf, apiculatum. So I'll give you guys a bit longer to see if you can figure out which tree that one is that Andrew's on camera with now. Good afternoon, Ashley from the UK. Ashley would like to know whether we have any animals that hibernate that we're moving into the dry season and winter. We do have certain species that hibernate. Your tortoises will, as well as quite a lot of your frog species will also hibernate for the winter. Good afternoon, Deborah in Ohio. Deborah would like to know, once the mating is finished, will the male lion stay with the female and help with the raising of the cubs? It's a yes and no, Deborah. So the male lion's sort of role in parenting is more defending the territory from other male lions that would come in to kill the cubs, to force get the females into estrus so they can mate with them. But it is unusual. But as I said, this lioness is mating with a male lion who's not normally in a territory. It's right on the edge, sort of on the buffer between the two areas. So Deborah, as I was saying, but the male lions will be around during the cub's life, especially around bigger kills and that, and they will tolerate the cubs to a degree. Sometimes even play with them, and they'll generally let the cubs feed before the lionesses. And well done, RC from the Netherlands. That's correct. It is a large fruited bush willow. No fruit on this particular bunch of them in front of us, but they do have that round, very distinct fruit of all the bush willows. But the one thing, and one of the nice things is why I chose this tree to ask you, is it has a plethora of medicinal applications and antibiotic properties. The bark is used to cure gallstones. It is also burnt, so that's an ash, and can be used in eye lotions. The leaves are used to make an eye wash, and crushed and mixed with oil. The leaves also make a good rub for backache. The roots add to a nosebleed remedy. They are crushed and mixed into a fatty paste as an ointment for hemorrhoids. Root extract is used to treat bloody diarrhea. Practically, the roots have good fiber. You can use them for making baskets and fish traps. The wood is just a good general purpose timber, even though it's not very durable. And an edible gum that is secreted during the spring is eaten by people. Come on, kitty cats. So hopefully they will do something quite shortly. They've been able to prove me wrong this afternoon, it seems. Afternoon. Very well, and yourself? How are you guys doing?
Where's Scott?
He's on leave.
Oh, okay.
He's back on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
They have not moved an inch since we've been here. This is quite unusual for the first day of mating. So, according to Ryan, who found them, they mated twice in the space of about 25 minutes, and now they haven't moved for about 40 minutes. We'll give it another 10 or 15 and see what happens. In the meantime, what else can we see around us here? Oh, I don't know if you can focus on out down there. Is that but can you see what I'm looking at?
A little white thing.
Yep. Just out. If I go back a tiny bit.
Yeah. Turn and then come back.
So normally I'd jump out of the car and go pick that up to show you, but obviously with lions being about 5 meters from us, it's probably not a good idea. But that's an old giant land snail shell. So it's a really, really big snail that we get out here. Quite interesting, a few different species of giant land snails. Their main food is other smaller species of snails. There's a giant land snail. You can see the sun's dropping. Hopefully the low light will put the lions in the mood. Sorry, last station, I didn't quite copy that message. Can you go again? Good evening, Mim in Canada. Mim has been wondering, if I could just inform her what other lions are in the area. Is it just one Matimba male or both Matimba males? There's only a single Matimba male here. We found, if you were with us early on drive, we did find tracks of the other male heading to the east away from here. So at the moment there's only one Matimba male and one of the Styx breakaway pride lionesses, and as far as I know the rest of the breakaway pride are to the west of us here. Yeah, to the west of us, and I'm not sure what's happening there, but the lions will break away from their pride while they are wanting to mate. Guys, I don't know what you think we should do. The lions are really just not playing the game today. We've been waiting for probably now 50 minutes and they still haven't mated, which is very unusual if they are in the first couple of days of mating. So maybe what we can do, I don't know if you guys would like to head down towards Arathusa Dam, have a quick check around there, and then maybe come back here and have a look a little later once it's a bit cooler. And I'll leave that up to you guys. I'm more than happy to stay with the lions. I'm really hoping they will mate, but they haven't done anything for a while. So I do understand you guys would want to move on. So you let me know. Should we go have a look around Arathusa Dam, or should we hang out with the lions and play the patience game? And you can let me know by sending an email to questions@WildEarthTV, or you can just use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Good evening, Blora from Biloxi. We would like to know, are there many types of poisonous caterpillars in the Sabi Sands, and what do they look like? Well, I can think of a few offhand, but poisonous more to birds. People don't really eat them. Oh, there's my butterfly box gone. Give me a second to find my flutterby book. It's very strange if it's... Ah, there it is. And actually, the one caterpillar I'm thinking of that it is very poisonous for birds. It's quite a pretty caterpillar as well. So just give me 2 seconds and I'll find it for you.
Top one.
Yep. So there's the adult. It's called an African monarch butterfly, and there is the larval stage, the caterpillar, and that is very noxious. And you can see it's very pretty caterpillar, and it gets its poison from feeding off a plant called milkweed, which is quite a noxious plant that's got a very distinct milky latex, and that is the plant that the caterpillars sequester the poison from. So there's one in particular. I think there should be another one here. I don't know where the acre is. There we go. There's another one that's quite noxious, an acrea, and they sequester a hydrogen cyanide poison from a plant that doesn't even have a common name. It only has a Latin name, and the Latin name is Waltharia indica, the Acrea species, and you can see not quite as pretty here. A larva. There's a different Acrea larva, still not quite as pretty as the monarchs, but still noxious. And there are a few others, but of moths and that, but I'm afraid I don't know all of them too well. Okay guys, so it seems like you guys would like to make your way. We took a chance waiting this long with the lions. I really did think they'd mate, but sometimes you get it wrong. So we will make our way down towards Arathusa Dam, see what's happening in that area. Leaving 2 stations with those Ngala on Central West. So who's on first standby, make your way. Leaving 2 stations with those Whakapagata Ngala on Central West. Ngala have not Whakapagati for the last hour, unfortunately, but hopefully they will soon. Sorry guys, I'm a bit quiet there. There's lots of chatter in my ear at the moment. Good afternoon, Dylan from Iowa. Dylan would like to know what is the easiest animal to track. Dylan, probably elephant, because they're the biggest, and also because of the way they feed, they make quite a lot of mess, so that makes them the easiest to track. Hello, hello, hello. I am for. Good, thanks. Hello. Enjoy. What a spectacular sunset. Golden afternoon lights. Now we just need to find something in it. such a wonderful time of the evening. We might get lucky around Arathu's Dam. The hippos might come out of the water. It is quite cool this evening, so fingers crossed. Well, those lines just weren't playing along today, but that's what it is being on the we are live, so we cannot custom edit things together. What you see is what you get, unfortunately. Or fortunately.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us.
I started on a 36 inch. Sorry, I thought I heard some squirrels alarming. So this area we went to is the drainage line that leads up to the main dam at Arathusa. It was in this drainage line a few days ago where I saw female leopard. That was the first time for me seeing that female leopard. The daughter of Karula, who's the dominant leopard in Djuma. So we see a lot more of Karula. So I'm just having a quick check along this drainage line as we head up towards the dam. See if I find any tracks, or hopefully we even just spot it. It's getting quite chilly, temperatures dropping really quickly. Hey, firm. So guys, we were going through a bit of a bad signal spot. We're about to come out actually in front of Arathusa Safari Lodge, the main dam at Arathusa. Just coming to have a look what's happening here, and we checked the drainage line that leads up towards there, which is a known, and bingo, as I said, we might get a hippo coming out of the water. There, it looks like a baby hippo has just come out of the water directly in front of us, and right in front of the Arathusa Safari Lodge. So it looks like the baby hippo is almost playing. It looked like it was chasing a duck. Look, go back to the baby. Look, he's going to chase that Egyptian goose. He's just playing. Oh, what a cute little thing. I'm going to stay with it for a second. I think it might have a run at that Egyptian goose. It did that as we were driving up. He's almost like, I'm pretending to eat, I'm pretending to eat. I'm not sure the exact age of this hippo, but see how he's changed his mind, actually pretending to eat when the Egyptian geese walk past. Oh, he got a fright there. I think that other hippo in the water there to the left would be Mom, still very close by. There we go. Djum. That looked like fun. It's like, come on Mom, when are we going to go out for dinner? I can see him just there. Andrew, if you come directly in front of me, there's a bird. Very pretty bird. It's called an African jacana. And what's quite interesting about an African jacana is that it's one of the few bird species where the females have multiple partners and the males are left to look after the nest and to raise the young. So the females will often mate or lay multiple nests with different males and just leave the males to rear the young. It's an African jacana. Oh, Susie Johnson has requested that I do my hippo imitation, so here it goes, Susie. There we go, there's a hippo. I'm trying to see how many hippos I can see at the moment. Just zoom into that little group of hippos there for me, please, Andrew. There we got 1, 2, 3, 4. You go off to the left to 4, 5. There's another one popped all the way to that little island. I think I saw some hippos around there. Zoop, off to the right. There we go. There's 2 more there. Very difficult to be accurate with hippos because always popping up and down. You never know if it's the same one or a different one. Yeah, well, it doesn't look like there's too much more action happening here. So we're going to meander on, see what else we can find. Also had a request for a little bird called a black crake the other day, and I was hoping I might see one in this floating vegetation here, but unfortunately not. So we'll carry on. Good evening, David from the UK. David would like to know how long the weaning process is for a hippo. David, I'm not actually 100% sure, so maybe you guys can help me out with that. And you can look it up for me, and you can send your answers through to questions at WildEarthTV, or just use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So there we go. Wonderful colors in the sky tonight. Just another tough day in the office. Good evening, Brian in Toronto. Brian would like to know, if hippos can't swim, how does the baby manage when the mother goes into deeper water? Well, Brian, they will actually sort of catch a lift on the mom's back. So they'll sit on the mother's back when the mothers go into deeper water. So we're checking these areas and drainage lines around Arethusa Safari Lodge, trying to check if there's any sign of Shadow and her cub, which we saw a few days ago. It was the daughter of Karula. Good evening, Janice in Baltimore. Janice would like to know whether baby hippos nurse underwater or the mother has to come out. They do nurse underwater, Janice, for the first few months of their life. Hello, boys. So, guys, I've just heard there's a lot of traffic going into those lines now. I think there's a couple of vehicles standing by, and we did spend a long time with them. Unfortunately, while we were there, they didn't mate. But there are a lot of vehicles trying to view those lines at the moment. So my original plan was to maybe try swing past there a bit later. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get the opportunity, and we do have to share, and that's the most important thing. We're all utilizing the same area, and we all need to get our chance to view the animals. So I think I'm going to start heading my way back sort of north and east towards Djuma, and hopefully if there's any more updates we can come follow up on those lines tomorrow morning. Evening, Raisa, again. Nice to hear from you again. Raisa is just saying we have so many beautiful endemic trees in Africa. Do I have any favorites? I've got far too many, probably to list them all. Probably one of my favorite trees that occurs in this area is the silver cluster leaf, or Terminalia sericea. I just find them very beautiful, and they remind me of one of my favorite places that I used to spend some time in when I was younger, in northern Natal. So it reminds me of that bush, and always fond memories when I see Terminalia, and they also remind me of parts of the southern Selous Game Reserve in Tanzania. And then possibly also in this area would be the jackalberries or African ebonies. Beautiful big trees, evergreens that are on the edge of the drainage lines and rivers in the low veld. Probably two of my favorites in this area. As we go further north, I do love a good baobab, I can't lie. They are quite spectacular. And also a bit further north from here, there's a tree called an African mangosteen, which I really like. The way my dad taught me how to remember the tree is he called it a fireworks tree. And the reason for this, it basically looks like the way it's shaped. It's got sort of the round shape, and all these branches come out in like explosions. Especially if you park behind it and the setting sun's right there, it does look like a big explosion. My dad used to call it the fireworks tree when I was little, so that's how I remembered that tree. And these trees we're passing on the right here, the silver cluster leaves I was referring to, that I'm quite fond of. Good termite resistant wood as well if you ever want to put up a fence. Thank you very much, stations. I'm going to be crossing back to the north. Thank you very much, stations. I'm going to be crossing back to the north. Afternoon railway station is crossing back from the west. Can I have an update for the afternoon, please? Copy. Thanks very much, Craig. Anyone have any luck with quarantine or ongoing down? I might go have a quick look in that area. negative. No, it's pretty chilled. I'm just going to head Philemon's cut line down towards Gum. Hey guys, just crossing back into Djuma, so I'm getting a catch up because we're on different radio channels when we're on the different properties for what's been going on this side. And I'm going to take a little gamble for the last little bit. No one's managed to find the quarantine male leopard, which we've been seeing almost twice a day for the last 5 days. So I've got a sneaky suspicion I know where he's hiding. So we might have a quick look in that area to see if we can find that leopard. Sorry guys, just still catching up with all the news in the north. It seems they've had quite a quiet afternoon this side. So hopefully we get some luck though. Good evening, Remy. Remy would like to know if I have any favorite or unique kinds of insects in the area. I actually don't have a picture, but I think my favorite insect, which is quite rare and unique that we get in this area, is called a giant winged predatory katydid. It is like, it's basically out of a sci-fi movie. It's this monster like killer grasshopper. It's a winged predatory katydid. If you guys get a chance, Google that. A giant predatory winged katydid, and you'll see they're really impressive looking. I unfortunately don't have a picture of them in any of my books here, but they are really impressive. So Brett asked me a question about tracking earlier, and I haven't forgotten about how we show signs of tracks. I'm just trying to look for some decent tracks that'll illustrate them now. Fortunately, you've got a torch with us so we can still see what I'm talking about. think there's a good spot for that coming up here, Brett. If not, I'll fake it. I'll draw a track and then I'll edge it for you. Unfortunately, it seems like this road's been quite busy today, so I think we're going to have to go with the edging and I'm going to have to fake edge a track for you. Oh, too many cables. Okay.
Maybe just close the door.
Maybe that's a good idea. Good plan, Andrew. Thinking on your feet.
That's it.
So, how's this here?
That's good.
So, I'm just going to do a simple track. So, let's do something we'd probably see quite often. Just do something similar to a cat track. Not a very good one, obviously. Not quite the same thing as the real thing. So let's pretend this is a nice big male line track. Make the back bad of it there. You can see it's very fresh.
A little bit difficult to see.
Is it difficult to see?
Yeah.
Should I move it to slightly darker?
Yeah, maybe
there?
Maybe that's there.
Okay. Oh, it'll work maybe a bit better with the shadows in that. See it?
Yeah, it's better than the last one.
Okay, so now the way I can see it, just move the stick out. Ah, no, that was silly. Left the stick in. Make it go away. Got the stick. So the way I can see it is a very fresh track. The edges are very sharp. So there hasn't been any wind eroding it. There are no tracks of other animals, and the edges are very sharp. Even though it's been quite a windy day, I can see that there's no wind, so it's been very fresh. And the sand underneath where it's been pushed down is slightly darker from being underneath and hasn't been dried as much by the sun. So if you see, if I dig up a little bit, you can see the sand's just a little bit darker. So one of the main ways we age tracks is by the edges. So if we had to have wind coming in, you can see a little bit less there from a strong wind. So now the edges have blurred a little bit, and this can make it quite difficult on a very windy day. As you can see how quick and easy that was to age with a little bit of wind. The other thing is I can still see that there's that dark soil, so I know it's been turned, that soil's been moved quite recently. Another one of our best indicators on the age of tracks are doves, specifically in the morning, because the emerald spotted wood doves are normally one of the first birds on the roads, and they walk an incredible amount. So we would look for things like dove tracks that would be on top of it. That would be another indicator of age, saying, okay, we know it was before sunrise now, so it was sometime during the night or the very early morning. During the day, you look for beetle tracks and insect tracks that come out as little dots over it, as another way of indicating. So we know it's definitely probably during the heat of the day when the beetles are running around. And obviously we look for other animal tracks, so whether an impala has walked across it, which would make a big difference as well. But Brett, I hope that helps a little bit. Obviously there's quite a lot more to tracking than that, but it's just a little sort of pointer at how we age tracks. And then the quickest way to destroy a track, get into a car and drive down a road. That's why we're very careful when we are looking for certain things, when we're tracking, that we don't drive over the tracks. is that we can't see where that animal has left the road. I don't think so I'm not going to try fly and rush down there, and we don't actually have any time, but we are coming quite close to quarantine clearings. Maybe we'll move up this way, so fingers crossed. Just a recap of the day. We went tracking mating lions. We found their footprints. We were looking for them. One of the other vehicles found them before us, and we waited a little bit to get into the sighting. There were 3 game drive vehicles there. We got in there. They were still there. We can try follow up there again tomorrow. Spotlight doesn't really help yet. DJ, she does the best she can by hiding them in a thicket or in a cave or drainage line. Oh, attacked by the from my nose there for rain we had there. There are quite a few more insects out. But BJ, so she would hide them in either a thicket, a drainage line, or rocky outcrop. And basically hope that nothing finds them. There's very little she can do to protect. For a while it's been lots of clouds.
Yeah, it's weird to see it.
Feeling like and do what's going to happen. Maybe it was my imagination. Or did I just waste 30 seconds? Oh, smell the potato bush again. Mouth. Just got him from the down. That was where we left him sleeping this morning, so I think he might have just ducked down there somewhere. We've found him quite a few times, sleeping below the wall. Oh dear, not this time though. Well, you win some and you lose some. So guys, thanks very much for joining me on Drive this afternoon. It's been fantastic having you. And again, thank you very much for all the questions. I do appreciate it. It's a major part of what we do. And we really love being able to share our passion for wildlife and the African bush with you guys all over the world. It's been a bit of a fruited bush willow, but it isn't a zoo, and so we cannot control everything that happens around us. On that note, guys, thank you very much from all of us here at Wild Earth. We really appreciated having you on Drive. Have a wonderful evening or morning wherever you are in the world, and hopefully we'll see you all bright and early for the morning drive. Good night, everyone.
Mm-hmm.